Hi guys, I wanted to make this little video to highlight some of my findings, observations and best advice guidance that I can give you regarding the Minijet units. This weekend I was asked to have a look at MJ03 and MJ05 because they had both been put out of service and needed and unable to be used. So they were brought to me to home here, and I've went over them. So what did I find? Well, MJ03, that was completely airlocked. It can only have become airlocked through being left to run with no water, or it wouldn't draw water when you first started it. It's fairly easy to clear an airlock, but again it needs proper spanners and also a level of understanding as to where the airlock is, because the airlock is like a balloon. It sits in the pump and it won't allow water in, and it certainly, by not allowing it in, it won't allow it out. But you have to be able to bleed it out of the pump, which is a little bit complicated. But anyway, I bled the pump and it started to draw water, put it back together, and that. But another observation I made when I first sort of looked over it was the pressure regulator was screwed right in, which for me is a big no-no. That's asking the machine, from the minute you operate the switch, the power switch on the back of the motor, to start, you're asking it for full pressure, and that's, not only is it wrong, but it's also a bit unsafe as well. So I would strongly advise that when you look at the way the machine is set up, when you are going to start to put it together, that the regulator is screwed out, so it should reflect 0 psi on the pressure regulating gauge, but also it won't really do much in the way of drawing water. So that's all I'm saying. You need to follow that correct procedure of when you're going to start a Minijet unit, you have everything lined up, ready to work. Your water's on, your water suction head is in, the back nut is properly tightened up onto the actual C coupling at the inlet of the pump, so you haven't got any air available to draw in at that connection. And then you should follow the obvious procedure. You should switch on at the motor, so the motor would start to run. You would then open the red water in valve, and then you would then start to increase your pressure to get to the desired pressure, and then work away. MJ03, when it was put together after I found after I cleared the airlock, it worked quite handsomely, and it ran for a 30-minute test with full flow. So I didn't have a problem with that. The fact of the matter is that I wouldn't expect anybody to run these for 30 minutes constant, because it's quite bad, especially on an internal environment where temperatures might be higher as outside. So your little motor, your little pump can get very hot and could just trip and go into safety mode. So I would advise that you should operate for no more than 15 minutes and then give it a little break, let it cool down. But I don't know what kind of length of pipes that you have to work on, that you need to be running in a urinal or a kitchen sink or whatever environment for more than 15 minutes. I would say you'd be lucky if you're running for more than 5. What you might be guilty of is leaving the pump running, and that's where you can start to develop airlocks, where you can start to create the pump to get too hot because water's not passing through it anymore. etc., etc. So switch it off. And when you're switching it off, you do the reverse of switching it on. You take the pressure regulator, turn it back so it gets to 0 on the gauge. You then switch the water off, the supply coming in, and then you switch the motor off. That's the correct procedure. It's a no-brainer, and you have to adopt it. And if you find it screwed in, then I would ask that you highlight that back to a manager, because whoever's left it like that will have left a record as to who used it last. So everybody needs to play their part, because you might be the one that's left with a machine that won't work, and you're left to try and explain to a customer why we can't do that job, or why you might have to leave and get another alternative because the kit's not working. So it's no issues. Now, MJ05, that's the newest one of the lot. It's really nice unit. It's not done a lot of work. God, I was disappointed with that. The filter, the gauze filter and inlet was absolutely gummed up with a sludgy junk on the mesh, and the inlet hole on the little fitting, on the inlet fitting there, is very, very small. So it takes only the center of the filter is where the water passes through to get into the pump. It was absolutely junked up. It took a decent bit of cleaning under the sink, under the tap in the sink, sorry, to get all that debris off of there. But anyway, put that back together. Works like an absolute beaut. It gives full pressure right up to 1800 psi. Does it on the I did a full jetting run on it for 30 minutes at full pressure. Not one bit of trouble. No cutting out, no nothing. So all I'm saying is that if you restrict it to what it can get, it may not work properly. And if it can't work properly, it's going to react badly. But I'm guessing that again, if they run too long or left to run on their own, they're going to develop issues. So there's nothing wrong with these two units. They can both go into service. But I want to just emphasize that when you're cleaning small bore pipes, let's keep the pressure to 1000 to 1200 psi at the most. There's absolutely no need to be full pressure. They're not the best of machines to be trying to unblock drains with. If you're having to try and unblock drains with them, it's going to be a real struggle, and it's not going to go very quickly, and you're going to have to do lots of stoppages to let the machine cool down, because it just won't cope. They're not the same as the jetting unit in the back of your vans. You know, they've not got the ability to run for a continuous period of time without getting hot. So that's all I'm saying. Let's try it. With most of the work that these do is on small bore pipes. Keep it down. Keep the pressure down. It will make your job easier. It might make it a little bit longer, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because one, it means that you're being, you're being caring for the equipment, you're being caring for the system that you're jetting it into, because high pressures might do damage. You know, they might cause leaks. You don't want to be over pressurizing the pipes. So all I'm saying is, can we please keep the pressures down where required? And if you are having to jet in full pressure, then you be mindful of that and give the machine a break. Finally, MJ03's kit was absolutely awful. The debris that was hanging about on that kit in the buckets, it was absolutely awful. The condition of cleanliness was really, really poor. Now that's been brought in probably from the last job. So whoever used it, there was toilet paper on the bucket. There was silts and debris in the bottom of the water bucket. The outside of the buckets were absolutely filthy. So again, keep the kit clean, keep the buckets clean. the outside of the bucket is just as important as the inside. It needs to be, when it goes back to Hardwick, when it comes off of the job, it should be in a fit condition to go back out again. When you receive it, if it's not, you need to again report it. I can't really state this any clearer. We'll never satisfy the needs of the customer if we cannot keep the kit in a good state of repair and fit to work. So please try and pick up on some of these points that I've raised today and go forward with slightly better attitude towards the usage of the Minijet unit. Okay, and if anybody's unsure about how best to operate these machines, I'd like you to come forward and speak to me, because I can arrange for one-to-one training or more experience on the correct usage and tips and advice on the Minijet unit. But thanks and goodbye.